We're talking draft on today's show. ESPN's Jordan Reid. Look at the top candidates to go number 1 in the 2026 NFL Draft. He had 14 players in total that he listed. Of note, last year, Cam Ward was included in the out-of-nowhere quarterback category, had a 1% chance. We'll see who fits that mold this year. There were 3 prospect tiers in this ESPN Insider piece. The serious contenders, potential risers, and the long shots. 4, 3, and 7 for 14 in total. Lots of quarterbacks in the early tiers. Shocker, right? So will the quarterback, again, be the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know why for yes, N for no. Let's get to the favorites, the top players at this list in the order they were included. The serious contender, the first name mentioned, LaNorris Sellers. He's not there yet, but what he's shown flashes of is wildly appealing to NFL teams. The size, the mobility, the arm strength, the sheer, frankly, power he has to shed blockers and make plays. If you're looking at, okay, if everyone takes the step forward that we think they can, this guy is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Doesn't mean he's going to take that step forward, but the upside is higher with Sellers than some of the other guys on this list. Let's stay in the same state, actually. Stay in the state of South Carolina. Clemson's Cade Klubnik. He does not have the same overwhelming physical size that LaNorris Sellers offers. It's just he's not built nearly as big. You know, Sellers doesn't look like on the field. He's listed at 6'3", 242. He carries that mass really well. Klubnik is maybe 6'2", 210 pounds, but he's gotten better each and every single season. And if you're looking at like, okay, projection, they're going to be better, we don't really have any reason to assume Cade Klubnik won't be better this year. That Clemson team is going to be very talented. They should be a college football playoff team at minimum. They got their top 3 receivers back, really outside of the running back. They're all back this year. He offers mobility. He's generally pretty accurate. There's a little bit of like bigger Bryce Young to him at times, for better or for worse, but I liked a lot of what I saw from Klubnik this past season. Drew Allar is going to be a very popular name on here, or maybe a divisive name. Again, this is the archetype that NFL teams love. Oh, he's 6'5", 235. He's got a rocket for an arm. What does worry me is, A, he's not very good on third downs. Like, he struggles in that regard. He has not delivered in the biggest of games. Oregon, Ohio State in September and November are going to be massive for these. He played pretty well in the Big Ten championship game, but not so much against Notre Dame with the bad interception. What worries me most about Allar is we're still talking about growth and development, and he's been working with a private quarterback coach since he was like in high school, like early high school, if not grade school. Okay, man, it's been like 8 years. So, like, are you going to get better, or is it just going to kind of always be inconsistent? Garrett Nussmeier is next up here. Again, not the biggest, listed at 6'2", 220. The arm is solid. Doesn't offer necessarily great mobility. For better and for worse, there are moments of Tony Romo to his game, where there will be games like, yeah, man, the aggression's working, and then it's like, bro, what are you doing? Can you, I need 15% less of the bad Tony Romo in him, which, if you get pure Romo, that's still a top 10 quarterback when he was healthy. New receivers, lots of talent for LSU in the receiving core. Nussmeier should be good this season. So pick a QB. You have to pick one of these 4 guys. Who is it? To lead your franchise. LS for LaNorris Sellers, DA for Drew Allar, CK for Cade Klubnik, GN for Garrett Nussmeier. Some other number 1 pick candidates in the potential riser category. How about Fernando Mendoza, who was last year, I should say, with Cal, transferring to Indiana, where Curtis Rourke went from like a not going to get drafted at all quarterback, not even in the conversation, to got drafted despite the injury, from Ohio to Indiana. Mendoza's got good size, 6'5", 225. He'll do some actual reading out of the offense, and there was plenty of RPO stuff at Cal last year. I think could have a big-time breakout. He's a very popular film nerd guy. Our first non-quarterback, TJ Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson. Listed at 6'3", 265. Good burst off the line. highly productive. What teams always search for is are you productive? Were you able to make plays? Did you do a good job of stepping up? 11 sacks, 20 TFLs. He was awesome this past year for Clemson, all per Pro Football, or I guess College Football reference there. There is another Clemson player, by the way, we'll get to here in a little bit. Before that, though, today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father of one and a second on the way in a couple weeks, really, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened, but you have to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. There he is. Arch Manning checks in here with just a 5% chance. A big factor in this is a generally held belief that Arch Manning will not go pro after this season. If Arch Manning has the season I think a lot of us believe he is capable of, and he wins the Heisman Trophy, and Texas wins the national championship, then maybe he might actually go pro, or does he want to go back? I have a player comp for Arch Manning. Now, this assumes we get the Arch Manning that we saw glimpses of, that the 6'4", 222-pound, I think this might be more like 6'3", but the frame and the skill set and the overall willingness to go back to college implies. I reserve the right to change my mind because there's 95 career attempts here. Andrew Luck. And if Fisher goes back to school, just like Andrew Luck did, I think could be a decent player comp there for Arch Manning. So predictions. Will he go pro after this year? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. There were 2 long shots out of nowhere quarterback options. John Mateer and Sam Levitt, both with a 2% chance per Jordan Reid. I actually like grouping these guys together because they do some of the same things. Both these guys, I love watching them as college quarterbacks. And there's okay, can you dial it in a little bit for NFL purposes? John Mateer is a run-around, make-plays guy. Now, he's incredibly athletic. I don't think people were watching Washington State last year, but he was a true dual threat. He was electric for the Cougars last year. Should be a huge driving force of the offense, same OC. But both he and Sam Levitt tend to be the kind of run around and do stuff guy. Almost agents of chaos, which works well at times and sometimes gets them into issues. No Cam Scadaboo for Arizona State. Jordan Tyson is back, though. He might be receiver 1 in this class. Additional long shots, Peter Woods out of Clemson. The last defensive tackle taken number 1 overall was 1994, and top 5 was 2019. That was Dan Wilkinson, I believe, and Quentin Williams, respectively. Peter Woods, the Clemson put him at the edge spot, which made no sense, but he was still good at it. It was kind of crazy. He's a 3 technique, kind of like Quentin Williams has been. I think he's going to have a huge year with Tom Allen in place now as the DC. But does a DT go at number 1? I'm not so sure. Spencer Fano out of Utah, his teammate Caleb Lomu also, there's a chance that those guys go 1-2 at tackle, especially if someone kicks inside the guard. Right tackle, left tackle, has played both. A little bit of both, I should say. Could like to see a little bit more weight. He's a little bit thin, but the run blocking and pass blocking was pretty good last year at Utah. We'll have year-round NFL draft coverage for you here on the channel, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Next up is Caden Proctor. And, Fano's a little bit smaller. Caden Proctor ain't small. Listed at 6'7", 360. It's kind of the fat goalie theory. You put the giant human out at tackle, tough to get around them because they're so big. He was better this past year. Injuries at time have been kind of a red flag, but the hurries and sacks all went significantly down the way you want it to in the SEC. The best version of Caden Proctor right now looks like the best tackle in college football, but there are still some inconsistencies to iron out. Isaiah World is next up here. Elite name. Also, giant human. He's listed at 6'8", 312. I don't know if he's actually 6'8". It's programs lie about their size. Transferring from Nevada to Oregon with massive expectations. This is all traits. And he allowed just the 1 sack last year. Also had a bunch of penalties. So you got to iron out some inconsistencies, kind of like Josh Simmons did over the course of his career at Ohio State. You go from G5 or G6 now to Power 4. Good things can happen. One of my favorite players in the class is Caleb Downs, but 1% feels kind of generous here because a safety has never gone number 1 overall, at least in the common draft era. It just does not happen. Sometimes Jamal Adams, Derwin James go high-ish, though Derwin didn't go that high, I guess. It's just talented, absolutely. Like one of the best players in college football. I think you can have a better argument he's the best player in the class than likely to go number 1 overall because NFL just isn't going to take a safety with that top spot.